Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mile High Sports today. Sean Drotar here and Nate Lundy right there. We're live at number 38 in Denver, 35th and Chestnut. NMBR38.com is the website. Big day, of course, as it is opening day for the Colorado Rockies.
Yes.
Presuming that, the weather permits.
Look, the highlight right now.
Chilly ones before.
The highlight right now is the fact that there's like new food, right? They've got like new brats. They've got, some different burgers on the menu now. They've got other little treats. So if you're looking for a snack while you're freezing your off, you can definitely get that done over at Coors Field. But if what you've decided is you're sitting there saying to yourself, Nate, Sean, it's really flipping cold outside.
Yeah.
But I really want to party because it's opening day. Because opening day is Denver's Mardi Gras, as we all know.
Certainly so.
Regardless of weather. I've been down here when it's been cold. You still got a great crowd. So if you're thinking about, it's kind of, it's nice to go downtown. It's nice to celebrate opening day. What you have today is grand opening day with us. And that is our brand new studio here at number 38. This is officially our opening. If you are going to the game, our big party will actually be post game, but we're going to be here all day.
Yeah.
So we want you to come down. Want you to have some fun with us. We got a lot of friends that are going to be joining us throughout the day. Coming up in about 20 minutes. We have a very special announcement with our friend Ryan Spilborghs. I had a chance. He's in Philly for the Apple TV game between the Dodgers and the Phillies. But I caught up with him just a little bit ago with a very special announcement. We teased it earlier this week. But coming up at 1 o'clock, very cool announcement that we've got with our friend Spilly. So, look, we're going to make this fun. I don't care that it's 38 degrees. I don't mind if there's a little bit of snow that decides to fall. We're going to have a good time today.
Yeah, and keep in mind, if you're a Rockies fan, Drew Goodman's podcast is part of Mile High Sports Network. Yep. Of course, we have Drew Christmas 20th and Blake podcast as well. And if you enjoy the podcast, maybe you'll enjoy the IPA. We're doing some interesting things down here at number 38.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun down here. We've got some beers that we have been partnering up with breweries around town to create some co-branded beers with Mile High Sports. We've got a phenomenal seltzer from our friends at Call to Arms. We've got a great American IPA from Crazy Mountain Brewing. So Call to Arms there on Tennyson, Crazy Mountain, basically at Ogden and Colfax. Crazy Mountain's right around the corner from the Ogden Theater. Those of you that have gone to a show at the Ogden, it's a great spot to go beforehand, by the way. And they also give you, if you show your ticket, you get a little discount opportunity. So make sure you stop by there as well. We've also got our Scotia Buffalo Blonde. We already kind of announced that one to you guys a few weeks ago. We did that with our friends at Resolute, 2 locations there, one in Centennial, one up in Arvada, that you can enjoy. And then the newest one that we have just added, Downhill Brewing. Many of you know them from their location in Parker. They also just took over the location that used to be Peakview Brewing, just east of I-25 on Arapahoe. And so Downhill now has 2 locations, and they have brought their blood orange wheat, which is called Orange Crush. Can you get any better than that? I love it. Like, we didn't even have to change the name of that one because it was already a great name that tied into Mile High Sports. So all 4 of those are available at the tap rooms. They're also available right here at number 38. We tapped them last night here at number 38. So they are available on the tap handles here at 38 when you come see us.
Yeah, obviously this is something we're doing that's building a lot of things we understand about the sports community. We're going to have an opportunity. The Nuggets play the Warriors in a very, very important game tonight. Obviously, the Nuggets, by being inactive and watching the Warriors beat the Lakers, slid slightly ahead of the Lakers now. They're back in third, but all of a sudden, these games get tight, Nate. The Nuggets are 2 games out of being tied for the play-in tournament. I mean, it's going to be that close all of a sudden now. Yeah. So when you're talking about that kind of situation here, big game tonight. And of course, obviously for this game, we're going to do something out here as well for the Nuggets.
Yeah, we are coming up at 7:30 tonight, as we have done a lot here at number 38. As a matter of fact, we will have our pregame show for our watch party. Ryan Blackburn of Mile High Sports, Zach Mikosh of Denver Stiffs will both be here. They'll be doing the pregame show, getting you ready for Nuggets and Warriors. So that'll start at 7:30. But like I said, our party starts at 5. We're going to be broadcasting from here. We've got Cody Rourke in the house. We got Ryan Blackburn in the house, Dan Mormon, Doug Ottewell. Of course, Danny is the one making everything happen behind the glass, and Danny has been working ridiculous hours for the last couple of weeks trying to get us ready for everything from here today. So my absolute huge thanks to Danny for everything that he has been working on. But Drew Kreisman will be here post game. Drew Goodman will be here post game. So we've got a ton going on, and coming up here in about 6 minutes, we will go live to Coors Field, and Troy Rank will be joining us. So there's a lot going on. If you're looking for a place to be able to hang out, and again, if you want to be able to, maybe get out of the elements a little bit. Now, remember, if you're dressed warmly, like I've got a fleece, it's just over there. I've just been sweating all morning, so I had to take it off. They've still got the patio, and they're still going to have the game on.
There's warmers.
So and they've got the warmers out there on the patio as well. So if you want to go outside at 38, you absolutely can. If you want to be there, I'm from Colorado, Nate, this is nothing. If you want to do that, go right ahead, man. I don't care. I'm a wimp. I hate the cold.
But you get your own private jumbotron out there.
Yeah, but you do, like, if you want to watch it out there, you do kind of have
there's big screens, and then there's that.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically sitting there with like a 40-foot jumbotron that you can stare at. So we got a lot to be able to talk about today, and getting ready for this Rockies opening day. Look, I know it's cold. I know this team is not very good. But it's still the Rockies. It's still opening day. It's still a game that we all have cared about every single year, whether this team is good or not. It is still something that we lean into on a consistent basis, just because it is sort of this marker on the calendar, if you will. Don't you think? Doesn't it kind of feel like it's this moment that just sort of, okay, here we are.
For people who aren't baseball fans, opening day is still a thing in Denver because it feels like the unofficial start of spring. Spring, of course, actually did start, but it feels like the start of spring here, because you know how great that scene is down in Lodo, down near 20th and Blake. The ballpark itself, of course, is one of the primary reasons to go see the team, obviously, and it's been obviously so good for so long. Coors Field is the third oldest stadium in the National League.
Not wild.
It's not crazy. Just Dodger Stadium and Wrigley Field are older, obviously, and I will give ownership credit. The team has not been very good, and we talked about this a little bit. Much, if not most of that, is self-inflicted, but not all of it. The economics of baseball right now, especially with a team like the Dodgers, just obliterating even the notion of any restraint in spending, makes it difficult for the Rockies. But you have to admit that the third oldest park in the National League, Coors Field, feels fresher and nicer probably today than the day it opened. And they do deserve a lot of credit for that.
Well, they do deserve that.
The experience is excellent.
Look, I've said this before. I've been saying it for a decade and a half. Coors Field is Denver's best outdoor bar.
Yep.
That's what it is. Okay. It truly is. When they did the rooftop, like, I'll give you an example, folks. I know bar owners in Lodo. Okay. Friends with guys that own bars in Lodo. Bar owners in Lodo were pissed.
Oh, yeah.
When they built the rooftop.
Sure.
Because they recognized that in doing that, they were creating a destination that would make people want to go into the stadium earlier and be able to sit there on essentially a phenomenal rooftop overlooking the field with the view of the mountains over the scoreboard and all of that. It was genius by the Rockies to do that, to the rooftop, and to not worry about the seats that used to be there, because other than opening day or a game against the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Cubs, you weren't selling out anyway.
Here's
so who
a little
cares?
Bit of your Coors Field trivia for that, if you happen to remember. Maybe you're familiar with this if you're not, but obviously the Rockies in the very first game in 1993, their first home game, it was not their first game. It's kind of funny. People talk about Eric Young getting the first home run in Rockies history. He didn't. Dante Bichette actually did that off Dwight Gooden, but the first two games of the year were in New York against the Mets. But Eric Young comes back, if I'm remembering correctly, 80,227 people. If that is that's off memory, so I'm not sure. But a whole bunch of people came to then Mile High Stadium to go watch the Rockies opener. The Coors Field development, that third level in right field, was not part of the original architectural design. HOK out of Kansas City, which made Camden Yards, and then Coors Field, also PNC Park in Pittsburgh. That was not part of it because they wanted that view to go everywhere. But the Rockies thought the first year of fans up at Mile High Stadium, where they're drawing, football crowds, they thought, wow, we better add a third stand. That's where that level came from. But you'll notice that most of the time it sat completely empty. So basically they kind of fixed the mistake and turned it into a totally unique thing, which is, I think been a place that people go as a destination, even when they're not paying any attention to the baseball game.
And that's why I say that, in my opinion, Coors Field is Denver's best outdoor bar. That's what it is.
Sure.
It is not necessarily a destination for baseball.
Can't beat the view.
Has been from time to time a great destination for baseball. It has been. And we have seen this team go to the postseason. We have seen those kinds of things happen. Okay. I'm not trying to say that it's not impossible, but for the most part, this has been a team that is not consistent enough to allow for the baseball to necessarily always be the reason for the destination. And that's why, like I said, I've called it Denver's best outdoor bar for a long time. And I stand by that I think that is a lot of what Coors Field is. And occasionally you get some of those highlights. How about we go to Coors Field, Sean? Yes. Shall we? Our great friend, our colleague, the host of the Broncos podcast with Troy Rank. And he would obviously, he's like a mile and a quarter from us right now. And he would normally come join us here at the brand new studios of number 38, but dude's got work to do. Come on. He's got to actually get some stuff done. He is the great Troy Rank of Denver Post. Troy, is it snowing at Coors at the moment?
A little bit. Yeah, it's not great. I mean, I was out on the field for 3 hours, 2.5 hours. It's chilly. And again, if the park fills up for fans, if they're coming, it won't be terrible, but it is definitely going to be around 35 to 40 degrees. You might have to get something to take the edge off, if you know what I mean. And, hopefully it's not a lot of buzz. I'll be honest. This opener is one I have been least excited about maybe ever. Just because the A's, nothing against the A's, they bring nothing in terms of, marquee that way. They have some good young players, and the Rockies obviously are coming off a horrific start to their season on the road. But some good news, Nate and Sean, they're promoting Chase Dollander to make his starting debut on Sunday. And it's not just to be a spot starter. I talked to Bud Black before the game. He's going to be in the rotation. So there is a sliver of good news around today that their best pitching prospect they've had maybe since Ubaldo Jimenez will be making his debut on Sunday.
Yeah, the Rockies obviously did start this season with basically a 4-man rotation, kind of knowing that they were going to do something with it. And obviously with Dollander, that's an exciting spot. But that's not going to matter if this team can't put the bat on the ball, Troy. Then the first 6 games, 11.3 strikeouts per game, and they're not even drawing 2 walks. Having the best hitters park ever assembled doesn't help you if you can't put the bat on the ball.
Torpedo bats. No,
I don't care. Torpedo bat, bowling pin bat, grab an oar. You still have to put something on it.
I talked to a couple players. I think they're going to use oars. That gives them more plate coverage. Listen, here's the thing I joke about. Like, it's one thing to strike out, but they strike out with no power. They're striking out 33% of their bats, and they rank last in home runs. So it's the old, he makes up for his lack of personality with his horrible looks. Like, what are we doing? Can we do one thing well? Like, again, contact's been an issue, and part of it is talent. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, but you cannot strike out the way they strike out and not have power behind it. And, like the A's, they're a team that I think, 69, 70% of their runs are off the home run, but at least they hit home runs. Like, the Rockies aren't making contact. Chris Bryant can't even make it into the lineup right now. He's getting another day. I just wonder, folks, when we talk about, the doom and gloom of it, how much longer Chris Bryant's going to be on this team. It looks painful. I watched him take BP today, and he just looks like a guy who's hoping to finish his swing and have it not land him on the IL. There's no power there. And it's unfortunate. Chris was an MVP, Rookie of the Year, won a ring. But since he's been here, it's been a lost cause. So, again, I'm not saying there's no hope for this team. They got some young players I like, and it starts with Tovar and it starts with Doyle. But to your point, Sean, you played forever. You were a highly skilled baseball player. The inability to make contact is just criminal. You got to make contact, especially with runners on base. I mean, they have guys that can't hit, that go up with, first and second, no outs. Can we move a runner? Can we have a quality at bat? Can we do something besides swing and miss? Like, that's what frustrates me.
Yeah, absolutely. Troy Rank's with us live from Coors Field at the moment, getting ready for opening day. Rockies and A's coming up at 2:00. Troy, when you talk about putting the bat on the ball, I think the other thing that right now, I'm not even worried if it's not power. Obviously, I want this team to have power because they play at Coors Field. But right now, I just want contact that feels deliberate. That doesn't. And I mean that because I want to feel contact that doesn't feel like luck. That it feels like, all right, I got a good feel for this pitcher, and here's what I think's coming, and I'm going to slap a single to left field. I mean, it's just, I don't. Look, as the line goes, chicks dig the long ball. I would like to see this team hitting home runs at a better clip and going back to the clip that we have seen at Coors Field over the course of the last 30 years. These guys need to be able to have some power because you play at altitude. You need to use the altitude to your advantage. But that said, if that can't happen right now because of the talent that's on this roster, then I agree with you, Troy. It's if we're lucky enough to get, a runner at second with no outs or one out, you got to find a way to get that person around to the plate.
Right. And listen, part of that is a skill set. And a lot of these young players come up and they literally just look to put the ball, the launch angle, put it in the air. And again, it works for guys who are good. When a guy's not a great hitter to begin with and his plan is just to get the ball in the air, this is what you see, a lot of strikeouts. And to your point, Nate, one of the things with young players that they have to understand at the big league is thought process, game plan. You cannot rely on athleticism up here. You're going to get pitched to. Every guy up here at the start, they have a scouting report on you within, one time around the league. You got to adjust to it and understand, how are they pitching me? What am I trying to do? If they're going to pitch you away and you have a runner at second and no outs, take the ball to right field. There's no crime in that as a righty. There's things about the game that you can win even while you're losing, playing the game the right way. And that's what's frustrating when I watch them, is just they just give away at bats. I mean, and I grew up covering, as a journalist, Larry Walker and Todd Helton and Ellis Burks and Andre Scalera. Those are professional hitters. Vinny Castilla, these are professional hitters. It gets lost in all the talk about their home runs, but Dante Bichette was the best two-strike hitter I've ever covered. Todd Helton, one of the best two-strike hitters, in the history of the Rockies. Where are those guys? And so we'll see. I just would not be surprised if this current trend continues, if they're replacing the hitting instructor at the All-Star break and rethinking some of this, because it's not working. You cannot strike out as much as they strike out and tell me there's not something fundamentally flawed beyond, guys are just pressing. That's come on, let's stop with that. Enough with that. Some of the young players, yes, but that can't be the reason. Fundamentally, it's a flawed approach when I watch them take these at-bats.
The problem there, Troy, that I look at is I agree with you completely, but this is the same manager, many of the same players. And if this was a problem we were seeing in just the first 6 games, you'd say, okay, whatever. It's
right, exactly.
Early. But this is exactly what we saw last year and the year before that. This team's plate discipline has basically vanished. But you're talking about a situation with Bud Black with the same manager. I don't know if the message is not getting through, if the idea of exit velos and launch angles are all players are just learned to, considered the only important thing to get you paid now. But it is a little strange that this keeps getting worse with the same staff basically coaching them. And that's where I think you look at it and say, to a certain extent, it's systemic, and it's not necessarily all the players. You have to probably look at the people who's coaching them top to bottom.
Yeah, and that's just not what the Rockies do. They exist in a silo. They believe everything they're doing is right. They don't take a lot of external criticism, and if they do, they usually do the opposite of the criticism. It's like, everything's failing, let's get everyone extensions then. Like, they think about this thing in terms that no other team does. But I will say this, sports are a meritocracy, and when you don't have consequences, this is what you end up with. You end up people fail upward. You end up people in miscast, and whether that's in the lineup or in the coaching staff, and that's a problem. It's a problem when you're in a division with the Dodgers, when you're in a division with the Padres, you're in a division with some of these teams that are finding edges in every way, whether it's the minor league scouting, analytics, and your answer is just keep rolling out the same people. I mean, come on. I mean, we know the definition of insanity, right? So we'll see. This is an important year for them. And it's not even about wins and losses. Nate talked about it. Like, you got to see hope. It's about seeing hope. And what does that look like? And, progress and guys playing the game the right way and young players that you want to go out. That's what this is about. And if we look up and they're 58, 59 wins and they lead the league in strikeouts and Tolia takes a huge step backward or Doyle does, then what are we doing? Like, that's the issue. It's about progress with 4 or 5 guys, developing a core, Dolander becoming the future of the rotation. And if that doesn't happen, I mean, again, anywhere else there would be change. Here, I would never predict that because that's just not the way they do business.
Troy, given all that, did the owners make a mistake in the last couple of years of not basically admitting that they are rebuilding and not just saying it outright, which I think with fans buys you a little bit of time when they admit it. And the Rockies have always still stuck to this idea that we can compete. We all see the evidence. This is a rebuilding team. Why not give themselves the cushion with fans and admit what's happening?
Transparency is not a strength. And it used to be forever. The reason they never said it, because when I coined Todd and the Toddlers, the youth movement, they wouldn't even say that was a youth movement because they were so afraid of affecting attendance that anyone would think like they're not trying to win. So they would rather sign a couple of vagabond veterans, the Nick Martinis of the world and Jake Caves of the world, to get to 73 wins than to just strip it down and say, hey, we're rebuilding. We're in a reboot. They've always been reluctant to do that because of how they think it affects their attendance. But to Nate's point, it's an outdoor bar. You're going to draw what you're going to draw. Now, if you would come out and say we're completely rebuilding, you're going to lose some fans, but you're also going to gain the trust back of some of your hardcore fans who are like, finally, just admit it. It's a process. It's going to take time instead of, okay, 4 young guys and then 3 34-year-olds. We got to get them at bats because we got to be competitive. Like, why is Jordan Beck not playing every day? Like, I like Nick Martini. I'm sure he's fine. But the same with Jake Cave. I don't want to see him get at bats. This is about one thing. Young players developing. But there's to your point, yep. Sean, they're a draft and development team that doesn't draft and develop well. So that's the other reason they don't announce they're rebuilding.
Exactly. No, I mean, I said it before. At one point, we had when I was over at the Fan, Troy, we had Jeff Bridich in studio with us. And I talked about the fact that there were not pitchers being developed to the point where they could be called up to the majors. And I said, what is wrong in the minor league system? And he snapped at me. There's nothing wrong with our minor league system. And I was like, well, okay, Jeff, but the evidence says otherwise.
And
so
guys,
come on now.
The man who was in charge of that minor league system is now the general manager.
And I don't even get me started there. All right, Troy, let's talk about, I want to switch gears. Would you rather be at Coors Field right now or up at Shadur's Pro Day? Because that's on the TVs here at number 38, and I'm seeing him throw. Where would you rather be right now?
And remember, up in Boulder, it's inside.
Yeah, no, I'm in the press. I'd rather be at the home opener. I mean, I think I've been at 24. However, because it's a pro day. I was at the combine. I've watched guys throw. Those pro days are choreographed. I mean, I don't get excited about pro days. If it was a choice of going and see you play, versus this, I would, rather cover the college football game with Shador and Travis Hunter. Workouts don't do a lot for me. I've covered 10 combines now, I think. They're just not that fascinating to me. It's a huge deal for Shador. He's been compared as the Bo Nix of this draft. So I'm curious to see if he changes any minds, because if he slips past 3 if the Giants don't take him, does he go to the Saints? And if not the Saints, does he fall to the Steelers? He's fascinating to me. Travis Hunter's the top 5 pick. I don't know where he's going. He's going to the top 5. Shador could go anywhere from 2 to 3 to 9, all the way back to like 18. So he is fascinating to me, and I think he's being a little overlooked. But it wouldn't be the worst thing for him to go to a better situation. And I don't like the Giants situation. I like the Jets because they're rebuilding and they have a plan now. Yeah. So I like that for him. They're out with Justin Fields. But it wouldn't be the worst thing for Shador to go in the middle of the first round because you're going to a better team.
Well, yeah. So I always say when you wind up as a top pick, it means you're going to somebody crappy because there's a reason that they're a top pick. I mean, that's just kind of the way that it goes. Troy, we hope that as you go through deadline and everything today, we're going to be here at number 38. I know you and I were talking yesterday. I hope that you're able to make it down once everything is taken care of with the Denver Post, be able to say hi to the folks and come down and see the studio again. You've obviously already seen it, but we want you to be able to come down, celebrate with us, enjoy the game, stay warm, and hopefully we'll see you a little later on this evening, my friend.
Okay, you got it. Talk to you guys soon.
All right, thanks, Troy. Troy Renck live from Coors Field, from the Denver Post, the host of the Broncos podcast with Troy Renck that you find right here on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel, as well as wherever you get your podcasts. Just go search Troy Renck, and you're going to find it, RENCK.
Don't forget about Shador Sanders to the Raiders at 7. I know they just signed Geno Smith to a 2-year deal, but Geno Smith is 34 years old. He's not the long-term solution. They know that. The Raiders have been interested in Shador for a while. Shador's actually been interested in the Raiders for a while. I don't discount that where he slipped at 7. But I think the idea, Nate, with Pro Day up in Boulder, with Shador Sanders throwing, with Travis Hunter going and catching from him, these guys are likely top 10 picks. You're not really solving anything here when you're talking about these two guys. I don't think they're going to move a lot today. This is one of the advantages of having Deion Sanders as your head coach. We know about in an attention economy, he's really good at it.
Of course.
Well,
Dion is also very good at selling Shedeur and Travis Hunter, but Travis Hunter and Shedeur are also very good at selling Deion Sanders and Colorado. They're working out today, not because they need to. They're working out today to help Deion Sanders recruiting. That's the main reason that's happening, not for their own draft stocks, because we know where they're going. This is to keep building the program.
Yeah, this is to build up the program, and it's being broadcast live right now on NFL Network. There's their Sports Center has been cutting back and forth to it.
It's a whole bunch of people
live.
watching Buffaloes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people just hanging out. All right. I mentioned this when we first came on the air, folks. We teased it yesterday. He was nice enough to actually put a video together as he was at the ballpark in Philadelphia yesterday for us.
More reason to follow us.
We've got an opportunity here. Danny, is it cute? I'm looking at Danny right now. Are we good? Are we set? You can chime in.
Yeah, it's going to be a sloppy transition, but we can do it.
Hey,
I was going to say, let's play a quick ad, and then we'll do it.
Let's do that. I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to give some love to our friends at Hooters. And by the way, congratulations to Maddie, selected as Miss Hooters Colorado. Thanks to your votes, by the way. You guys all went online at milehighsports.com and voted, and she was crowned it was announced last Friday, actually, a week ago today. Maddie as Miss Hooters Colorado. Of the finalists that were there, of the 5 finalists, she was the one selected. And again, your votes helped make all of that happen. So I told you we've got a great message from our friend Ryan Spilborghs. I caught up with him just a little bit ago. He had to get to the ballpark, so we actually pre-recorded this, and we'll give you the news that we are really excited to share next.
When it's tournament time, we don't go big. We go bigger.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Mile High Sports Today, live from the brand new studios of Mile High Sports at number 38 in Rhino, presented by our friends at Volo Sports. And you know this guy, the guy on the screen right next to me. It is Spilly. It is Ryan Spilborghs. You see him on, of course, the Rockies broadcast. You see him on Apple TV's Friday night baseball broadcasts that they've got with the MLB. First of all, Spilly, season's back. I know everybody's celebrating opening day today, but you've been at it here for a little bit. But the reason that we wanted to have you on Mile High Sports Today, we teased it yesterday. You've got a little announcement. Share with everybody what you're doing with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to partner up with you guys. I'm going to do basically a daily show for the Rockies called Spilly on the Rocks, and kind of going to get into a little bit more detail on what's going on with the Rockies. You know, maybe break down a play, make sure you sound smart when you're around the water cooler or having a beverage. At number 38. So all those things, I'm looking forward to it. I want to give a little bit different take of it. You know, maybe pull you inside the clubhouse a little bit, especially when you're in a bit of a transition for some of the Rockies. We're seeing a lot of young players, so I think it's important to get a version of a player's voice that's gone through it, so I can help navigate this 2025 year for everybody. So if you're a Rockies fan, and you want to get a little bit more into the weeds on what's going on, I'm going to be there for you. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm so excited. And this was something that, we started talking about several weeks ago, and then it just came together. The timing is perfect. And I love the fact, Spilly, that you want to be a part of what we're doing at Mile High Sports. I'm grateful for that. And I'm also, you talked about it, the idea of getting inside the clubhouse or having that viewpoint of somebody who has been there, understands the psyche of it, understands a pregame, a postgame routine, anything like that these guys are going to go through, whether it's win or loss. And we know this team is not expected to win a lot of games this year, but you've been there. And so I think what you're going to be doing with Spilly on the Rocks is great.
Yeah. So I like to that point, baseball is so unique in that it's every single day. So there's this crazy roller coaster that you ride over the course of the year. Baseball fans are probably the most engaging because of how much it's part of their daily routine. And like you go home, and I say this to people all the time when I'm around the stadium, people go, Spilly! And I was like, hi, I don't know you. But they feel like they know me. They feel like they know the players because they bring them into their house every single night.
Yeah.
So to have the perspective of, like, this is what it feels like to get incrementally better. This is why you should be paying attention to this.
Mm-hmm.
This is why a player is going through this struggle because of timing, or not getting playing time, or, for a young player that's learning how to come off the bench, or a bullpen arm that's trying to figure out routine. How many pitches does it take, right? Like most people don't even think, how many pitches does it take to get warmed up to face a batter coming in the game? What happens when there's traffic and there's first and second, nobody out, and you're having to get hot to face the lefty coming up? How many pitches does that take? So all those little things, the nuance of the game, I'm hoping I'm going to get you a little bit more behind the scenes and kind of get you into the nuance of a big league season in a way that is bite-sized, gives you some good nuggets, and then you can feel better about what you're watching.
Absolutely. So that'll be Spilly on the Rocks. You'll be able to find it wherever you get your podcast. You'll also find it right here on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel. And we hope everybody subscribes to that. Get some of this insight from Ryan Spilborghs with Spilly on the Rocks. All right, Spilly, let's talk about today. First and foremost, you're in Philadelphia. You've got the Apple TV game tonight. Like I said, it is what, Dodgers Phillies? Is that right?
Yeah, Dodgers Phillies. We got a big heavyweight matchup. I've been in Philadelphia obviously since Sunday because the Rockies came into town and ended up getting swept. This Phillies team's really good. This Dodgers team's even better. I try to be like unbiased here when I watch these type of games, but I am biased. I'm biased for National League West baseball. It's the best division right now in the sport. The teams besides the Rockies in the National League West, they're 24-3. 24-3. You have two teams in the Dodgers and the Padres that are undefeated. Yep. And it's not like they were beating up like a bad team. They beat up the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have not won a game this year. And so like and what's crazy about it too, if you look at some of the odds to like win a World Series or win the division, the Padres, even though they're 7-0, have a lower percent chance to win a World Series or to even win the division than the Atlanta Braves that are 0-7 in a division with the Phillies and the Mets and the Nationals. Like, it's just nuts. It's nuts to think of how strong the Dodgers have become.
Yeah.
I admire the Dodgers for just not because of spending. Spending's like such a low-hanging fruit for a lot of fans. They're like, oh, Dodgers spending, look at all the deferrals. Deferrals have been part of the game for a long, long time. You can go back to Bobby Bonilla.
Yep.
That was created by Bruce Gilbert, who is a longtime agent, created Beverly Hills Sports Council. The deferrals have been around forever. I mean, there's guys on payroll right now for the Rockies that are getting paid deferrals. So it's like we talk about deferrals as if it's something brand new, like this torpedo bat. The torpedo bat's been around for years. So like, I just think when you're watching the Dodgers, the one thing that stands out is they use homegrown talent. They have found discards from other organizations, bullpen arms, position players. You go to like a Chris Taylor, a Justin Turner. You look at the back end of the bullpen. There's two guys that have been hurt. Evan Phillips, a guy like Michael Kopech, who was with the White Sox last year, was terrible. And then he comes to the Dodgers and he's one of the most elite relievers in the sport. And then they draft. They draft better than everybody, and they're not even taking the first overall pick. So as much as I want to point to the Dodgers and go like, oh, man, they just spent a ton of money, Ohtani offered the same deal to the Angels, and the Angels turned it down. Dodgers got it. Freddie Freeman, the Atlanta Braves moved on from Freddie. They went for Matt Olson. Dodgers got him. The Boston Red Sox, they weren't gonna extend Mookie Betts, so they had to trade him.
Yeah.
Dodgers traded for him. So, like, you have these three MVPs that could have still been with the Angels, could have still been with the Red Sox, and could have still been with the Atlanta Braves. So whose fault is that? Is that, like, it's just not there. It's non-existent.
No, you're exactly right, and they've also got my my Oregon State boy, Michael Conforto. So there's a lot of talent on that team. All right, here's the question, Spilly. Right now, as you get ready to do the Phillies game, between the Phillies and the Dodgers, you're in Philadelphia. The temperature in Philadelphia is about double what it is here in Denver right now. The weather, Mother Nature decided to be a pain in the butt, as it usually does, in Colorado. So talk to me about preparing as a player when it's going to be this cold outside for this game today.
Layer up. I mean, that's
just like anybody else in Denver, right? Just add
let,
2 layers.
Layer up. You turn on the heaters. You will find guys in the Rockies clubhouse. There's a sauna. Guys will run up there and stand in the sauna, and their cleats are. It's funny, like the wood in the sauna has cleat marks from guys over the last couple of years. So. I like these games are never fun for hitters. They're much better for pitchers. You also have, I mean, I always joke about the home opener in Colorado or any home opener because people are like, hey, season starts today. I was like, no, actually it started about a week ago, but it feels like it starts today because the game finally happens in your hometown. So for the Rockies, it's nice to come home. They've been on the road since spring training. They went spring training to Florida, to Tampa. They got in late last night. You know, they slept in their beds for the first time. Some of these guys are going to their apartment for the first time. It's a bit of a transition, quick turnaround because you have a bit of a day game. So today's is like excitement for players. We love it. Like we love Coors Field. Like players come all over visiting players. It's one of their favorite stops on the tour is they bring family, they bring wives, they bring girlfriends, they bring everybody to Colorado because it's such a great venue to watch a game. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to today. I think the Rockies have a shot. You know, they've pitched really well so far. And so to get home, get the A's, you can't call them the Oakland A's, otherwise it's $1 in the cookie jar.
Right.
It's the A's, the Athletics, which is still, that's so tired to me. But I'm looking forward to it. I think the Rockies need some home cooking. And whether it's cold or hot or perfect, I mean, the Rockies need to start figuring some stuff out.
Give me one player. Maybe it's somebody new. Maybe it's somebody that's new-ish. Give me somebody to be watching for the Rockies today that maybe fans have not necessarily paid attention to before.
The name I'm going to go to, and I think he has a chance to be a star in the game, but has gotten off to a really bad start, is Michael Toglia. He's going to win a Gold Glove. This guy's going to win a Gold Glove. And if he puts his power potential together, you're getting 30 home run power with a Gold Glove first baseman. And if it's there, the personality's there. You know, like I think the skill set's there. He's really unique. And for Rockies fans, he's going to be, you know, the first baseman of the future for the next couple of years. And hopefully he's consistent with his at-bats. I mean, he really does have absolute great power. It's probably elite power around the sport. It's just he hasn't, the timing's been just really off so far early in the season. But I think he has a chance to hit 30-plus homers and win a Gold Glove. That makes a pretty dang good player.
Absolutely, it does. Okay, folks, that's an example of what you're going to get when we talk about Spilly on the Rocks, the brand new show, the new podcast that Ryan Spilborghs is going to be doing as a part of the Mile High Sports Network. You'll find it here on our YouTube channel. You'll find it wherever you get your podcasts as well. We look forward to launching all of that. And of course, as we're sitting here at the brand new studios of Mile High Sports at number 38, Spilly also plans to come down and do some of the shows from here. So, you know, we look forward to all of that. Spilly, have a great call tonight in Philadelphia. You will be much warmer than the rest of us will be as we get ready for first pitch. But thank you. And again, as the guy that tries to, you know, wrangle the drunk squirrels of Mile High Sports every day, I want to personally thank you for coming and being a part of our network. I love your insight. I love what you've done. You and I have known each other for a long time. So the idea of being able to have you as a part of the Mile High Sports Network means the world to me. Thank you, Spilly, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks. Enjoy today.
With millions of page views every year, ColoradoPreps.com is the #1 source for the high school sports community to keep up with the latest news and scores. From football and volleyball to basketball and softball, ColoradoPreps.com provides a year-round hub for coaches, friends, and family to stay connected to their favorite schools and athletes, and keep an eye on their rivals. Covering high school sports from the peaks to the plains, you always get the latest at ColoradoPreps.com.
Welcome back to Mile High Sports Today, opening day, not only for the Rockies here in Denver, but for our brand new Mile High Sports studio here at number 38 in Rhino. Joining me is Cody Rourke, our lead Broncos writer, and of course, Locked On Broncos podcast, the film rooms that you put together, all the coverage at Mile High Sports. And Cody, let's start up in Boulder, where the CU is having its pro day today, actually, as we speak. And in the early portions of it, Shedeur Sanders came out and threw. He threw to Travis Hunter, who ran routes only for Shedeur Sanders in his throwing session. Not a shock, but a little. It's interesting to discuss, and I kind of broached it with Nate a little bit. Not just the pro day itself, but let's start with those two guys. Travis Hunter has nothing to prove. There's nothing at his pro day that scouts are going to look at and go, wow, that's different. And quite frankly, I don't think there is for Shedeur Sanders either. There's no actual benefit in their draft position for these guys to throw. So you're talking about 2 top 10 picks that are basically promoting the program. Of course, Shedeur Sanders' father, Deion Sanders, the head coach. Those 2 guys working out at a pro day is really about recruitment, I think, for Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes program.
I don't know much about recruitment, more so than I think it is just saying like, hey, I feel like they're doing it because there's a large contingent. The New York Giants brought so many people to
Titans
the pro day
too.
today. The Broncos had like a defensive contingent of personnel there watching. But I think for Shedeur Sanders, for Travis Hunter, it's very simple. Just watch the tape.
Right.
Look, Shedeur, I'll give Shedeur a lot of credit. Is he QB1 in this year's draft? I don't think so, but he also didn't have, I think, as many great tools to work with, really outside of Travis Hunter as, in comparison to a guy like Cam Ward. But for me, I look at CU, really Travis Hunter, I think all eyes are on him more so than they are Shedeur. With that said, I mean, who's going to take him? Where's he going to go? Like, is he going to go to the New York Giants? They have Russell Wilson. They have Jameis Winston right now. And I mean, that situation right there looks very interesting because Brian Dable and Joe Shane, they're on the hot seat. They got to win this year. If they don't win, they don't produce early on here with Russ or with Jameis, they could be an in-season firing. And so my conflict here, if they're looking at taking Shedeur, are you in a position now where it's like you're going to take a quarterback, but then you're going to be in a position to hire a new GM and a new head coach who may not be married to the idea of Shedeur?
Right.
That's where I think things get a little tricky. So to me, I think Travis Hunter ends up in New York.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, even at 2 with Cleveland, I mean, you think about pairing him at receiver.
I could see Shedeur
with Jerry
going to
Jeudy.
Cleveland. I think would probably make more sense.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you can see him working with Malik Neighbors over there. Obviously, you talk about some of those receivers, but his best position for me, I look at it and I understand the receivers get paid, but cornerbacks get paid too.
Yes, they do.
If I was advising Travis Hunter, I think I'd rather play cornerback.
Yes.
I'd rather hit than get hit because his athleticism is amazing, but he does have kind of a slight frame. He's probably never going to bulk up to be a really big guy. I would stay at the cornerback route where he has elite ball skills either way, but I would stay at a spot where you're hitting guys instead of taking the shots, prolonging your career. And here and there, you can always be put in matchup situations as a wide receiver, whether it's a decoy or Hail Marys or even certain situations. Maybe you even can participate in the return game, something he didn't do at CU, but given his abilities, it wouldn't be a shock. I think a smart team can utilize him in a lot of different ways. But if I were advising Hunter, I'd say cornerback's the spot where your career is likely to be longer.
Yeah, I would say play corner. Like for me, that's where I would have him play at the NFL level. But I know the type of guy that Travis Hunter is. He's a guy that's not going to let outside expectations
period.
Say like, hey, I can play both ways in the NFL. I think he's going to try it. I think a team is going to try it.
A couple teams are going to let him try
it. And then I think over time, they may start to dwindle it down a little bit. But I mean, you're spot on there. I don't think there's anything wrong with a guy like Travis Hunter coming in on offense, playing some snaps. Like, here's the thing. He doesn't have to play with the average offensive snap rate, I think, in the NFL, 65, somewhere along the lines there for offenses. You could get him in 10, 15 snaps, I think, per game. But it's not, you don't want him to go play 50 snaps on defense and then, 50 snaps on offense. That's going to it's
going to make him worse.
In the schedule
both.
And the grind that is the NFL, how grueling and physical it is. And then you got the transitions where you're going to go play Sunday, then you go play a Thursday night game. I just don't think that matches up well. But I think you can get him 10 to 15 snaps per game on offense if he is going to be a primary cornerback. I think that's how they should probably approach it.
Sanders' case is fascinating. Like I said with just a little bit ago, I still look at it, and the Giants, I guess, could go for it. But I look at the fit as still being the Raiders, quite frankly. And I know that people look at the Raiders and they say, like, look,
I don't know, not with the Geno extension.
Geno Smith is 34, and they signed him to a 2-year deal.
They just gave him a 3-year extension. But do you think Shedeur's going to want to go sit? Like, Shedeur's
of course he's not going to want to go sit.
He ain't going to go sit for 3 years.
And that's the question, too. See, with New York, the idea that they could jettison Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, whenever they want, the 1-year deals, whenever Shedeur Sanders is ready. That's one of the temptations there. But I do think the Raiders are interested. I think the Jets would be interested. Obviously, there's a wide open spot there. There are teams. He's not going to fall that far, but
I don't think he falls out of round 1.
Right. But I've talked about this for a couple years. The idea that and this happened with Bo Nix. I tried to help people's expectations on this for a while now, because how difficult it is. There aren't 32 people on the planet that can play NFL quarterback well.
No.
There aren't.
It's hard.
And so
Hardest position in football.
you really have two drafts happening simultaneously. You have the quarterback draft and the draft for everybody else, and they're happening at the same time. They're overlapped. That's why you had ideas that, oh, well, Bo Nix might be a second-round talent. He might be, by the way you look at it traditionally. But when there are X number of teams that need a quarterback, they are throwing out those valuations. And that's why the Broncos selected Bo Nix, because they liked the fit. They knew what they were getting, and it turned out to be the right move. That's why now Jackson Dart, who for a lot of people is more of like a third-round selection, is probably going to go in the first round, because teams are they're not quarterback needy. They're quarterback desperate. And so the teams that are looking for quarterbacks, that draft overlaps the draft for everybody else. And you have to throw those evaluations out the window, because it's depending on team and need.
I would say this too, ultimately, and I'm in the same line of thinking as organizations are for the most part. I don't care what analysts think, to be honest, and I'm an analyst. There's a lot of people that don't care what I
look
think.
at my own team. What do I need? What do I think?
But the thing is they're like, I don't care what other analysts think, because the reality of it is, does this guy have something, whatever position this player may be, does this guy have traits that help us? Is he a great fit for us that could elevate us in maybe an area we don't have? We could talk about it all the time. There's players that go in round one with high expectations that fail to live up to that, right? And I think you look at the exceptions as well. You find different guys in rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sean Payton certainly has throughout the course of his coaching career that have come in at a certain position and have exceeded those expectations and that overall value. So I think the value, beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder. You're only going to learn so much, like obviously put on the tape, but what was that player's environment like at the college level? Was he a star player on a team full of just, guys that were okay? Is he a star player on a team of other star players where he stood out even further? That's where you have to really, ideology. You got to create the ideology in your organizational ethos, essentially saying, hey, this guy can come in and do this for us. The reality is it may be different for another team. Like that same guy that they're viewing that standpoint might not be able to do that for, let's say, like a team like the Raiders in comparison to a team like the Saints.
The dirty secret in the NFL draft is it really is more than any other draft. It is about fit. Yeah. I talked to 100%. People at the end of the season, and I got a couple chuckles out of it, but I will stand by it. Had Bo Nix been drafted by, let's say, a third of the league, 8 other teams. There are 8 different teams where if Bo Nix had been drafted by them, we'd already be talking about him as a bust. I guarantee you, or as a bad first-round draft pick. I guarantee you that would be the case, because it is so much about fit.
I think
in the NFL.
I don't think it would have been the case if it was the Rams. With McVay. I think if he goes to a really good QB.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of where he could have been successful, but I think 4 teams, a quarter of this league, if they pick him, we're talking about it being a bust because it's not a fit. We look at guys that succeed in the second time around. Baker Mayfield. Last year, Sam Darnold had a really good year. Jared Goff was essentially jettisoned for Matt Stafford. Look at what he's been doing. Yeah. So a lot of these guys, it is really about the fit.
100%.
And so turning that to the Broncos now, pick later in that draft. Obviously, they picked 20. We know that running back is a dire need. More and more of the mock drafts, such as they are starting to. You'll have a mock draft. I'll have a mock draft. Daniel will have a mock draft. You right there.
I only do one mock draft.
You will have a mock draft. We'll all have mock drafts. But Omari, look, the idea that Ashton Genty will be available is that's I think gone by the wayside.
He'll go to the Raiders.
That Tyler Warren was not going to be available for a long time as well. But Omari and Hampton, when you start looking at teams with needs, seems to be a good fit for the Broncos, seems to be a guy that will be available close to that. We know that Sean Payton generally likes running backs by committee, but if you were to find somebody who deserves the rock, I don't think Sean Payton's afraid of making sure you can use him.
Yeah, no, it's just about finding balance. Like last year with the running back rotation, there was never a set, clear-cut guy. Like 1 week it would be Javonte, 1 week it would be Jaleel.
And that's hard to get guys going like that.
Well, and that was also another thing. I felt like, and nothing against Javonte, but I felt like for Sean, there was this sense of loyalty to him, which I understand that as a coach, I've been in that position before.
And you respect the comeback from injuries. You respect all that.
And you think like, and Javonte had some stretches last year where it's like, oh, okay, is the old Javonte back?
Also your best receiver and pass protector.
Yeah. And so, with that, like you have to factor in, okay, the circumstances surrounding Denver then, but when your rushing offense isn't getting a clear cut production on a week-to-week basis, and you're really saying like, what's happening? Well, 30 plus games of not having a single 100-yard rusher is problematic. Now, collectively as a team, the Broncos had over 100 yards rushing in a handful of games this year, but that's with multiple guys. To me, I think you have to find a clear-cut guy. We envision this guy as a 3-down back. We'll bring in our change of pace back, and then we also have a power back. I think Jalil and I think Audric Estime fit 2 of those roles. Can you find a 3-down back, or can a guy like Audric Estime become a 3-down back? And then what does that mean for guys like Tyler Bidet, Blake Watson? I could tell you this, like the Broncos, they're higher on their running back room than most people, I think, outside of Denver are on Denver there.
I agree with you.
So for me, I don't like they're going to take a back.
But they still need a
Yes.
They need someone to lead that room.
But
they like the pieces they have. Bidet is a good piece.
It may not be a guy in this draft. They may bring in a guy in this draft to be one of those role players. That's
so if they
where
don't go running back, where do you think they go?
Wide receiver. I think they go wide receiver. Yeah.
That's funny because we've heard the same thing. The Broncos are really high on their wide receiver room, maybe more than people realize. So why would they go to wide receiver number 1?
Well, think about this. You want flexibility. You want weapons. Like we saw it as well. Like the thing for Bo Nix, okay, you get Evan Ingram. That's great. I love that. But the issue is when teams take away Cortland Sutton, or they try to, you need your other younger guys to step up. And look, I think the Broncos are invested in that. Don't get me wrong. But let's take the playoff game against Buffalo as a great example. Okay, Cortland Sutton seeing a lot of attention. Cortland has a drop in that game, a key one against the Bills. You know, you connect on the deep shot to Troy Franklin, but you try to go to Troy some other points game. He has a drop. Devon Bailey has 3 drops in that game. So it's like, do you really want to bank on that right now? Plus, here's the thing. You're one injury away from being just a question mark at wide receiver. Like you have guys that have unquestioned talent. Can they get that to transform and be put fully on the field? Can they be those impact playmakers? I know Marvin Mims can. I'm not worried about Marvin Mims, but with Devon Bailey, 27 years old, like that's the thing here. People are saying, oh, he's older. He doesn't look old the way that he plays, but can he be more consistent? Can you find a way to get Troy Franklin in rhythm versus just, hey, let's just run Troy on a 9 route the entire game? Like, you got to get him in the short to intermediate
which
passing.
Which is what he ran at Oregon with Bo Nix.
You run a lot of mesh concepts with him.
He wasn't running fly pass. He was running a lot of intermediate. You go look at his heat map for this last year in college. He was coming over the middle. It was slants. It was all those kind of plays.
That's what you need.
Given his speed, now he can break something open. And Bailey is an interesting choice because I look at Bailey and I look at the talent, and he was not only figuratively but literally the Tim Patrick replacement. But I also look at it. The point you're making is interesting because if Franklin can't make the leap to being a starting caliber guy, and maybe that's a bit much to ask for a guy who's had a bumpy rookie year and was a 4th rounder. Vele ideally is really not necessarily a starter, right?
Yeah.
He's your possession guy on 3rd down that on a team that is maybe closer to win the Super Bowl. That's Vele's role. Yeah. He's your big body, third down receiver, back of the end zone, 50-50 ball type of things.
I think we're going to see him downfield a little bit more this year too. I think with his size, we're going to see Vele used on some downfield stuff, some back shoulders that we see so many teams.
Well, we know Sean Payton prefers tall wide receivers. So if he does go wide receiver in the first round, who are you looking at?
Well, look, I'm thinking of Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State.
As soon as you said
because here's the thing, and Nate and I were actually talking about this earlier.
Peter McMillan will likely be gone.
And I'm not. I think he's a little overrated. I think McMillan's a little overrated in a sense. I don't know if he's going to bring that value that a guy like Egbuka would bring to the table. And look, you're getting a guy at a wide receiver. Ohio State. Brian Hartland has done an incredible job there. But Egbuka, you can play him on the outside. You play him inside the slot. You can move him around a little bit.
6'1", he'd be a little small for Sean Payton, but it is what it is.
But his play traits are what stand out the most.
The guy crushes zones.
And the thing that I think would excel here. Look, it's also an insurance policy. Look, I anticipate right after the draft, Cortland Sutton's they're going to come to terms on a contract extension, maybe similar to what Calvin Ridley's deal looked like initially when he got extended. I think Cortland's extension will happen on a 2 or 3 year extension. You have Marvin Mims, who you're excited about. You have obviously Devon Vele, Troy Franklin, but you need another guy in that room. And I think that you go with a rookie because think about it, in first round, what do you get? You get a 5th year option. You get more timeline. You get more flexibility with that. And by the time that deal comes up, you're going to be paying Bo Nix a contract. So you want to be able to have.
And if you just watch the 2 years, $75 million to Geno Smith, wait till you see Bo Nix. The Broncos know their window. Yeah. You want to get guys under contract. You better do it right now.
The good news is the salary cap, as we continue to see around the NFL, it continues to increase. We imagine maybe by the time Bo's deal's up, the NFL might amend and put in an 18th regular season game.
Bo Nix might be a $50 million a year guy. That's not a joke.
No, and look, but that's going to change. Like, look what Josh Allen did. And look, Bo had a tremendous rookie year. Mm-hmm. He's a long way from being able to make that Josh Allen type of money, essentially, or Patrick Mahomes. But he's got a chance if he goes on here in the Broncos. Let's say they win the AFC West a couple of years, in the span of where he's in his rookie contract. He's going to get paid. He absolutely is. But the market itself is always going to change on a year-to-year basis. And Denver's got flexibility. Next year, they're not going to have the Russell Wilson dead cap on the books, though this year it's not really impacting them in any way, shape, or form. It's one thing Sean Payton told us at the end of the year. He wasn't really worried about that. But next year, now you get more flexibility. Now you come to terms on a couple of contract extensions with guys like Cortland, Zach Allen, and Nick Bonito, which I imagine that one, Sean, that one might drag late into the regular season. Yeah. It may even drag into being like a franchise tag, which I think next year it's going to be around $28 million.
I wondered that too, because see, when you have guys like Bonito and he had a phenomenal year and everything looks all systems go, but at the same time, kind of came out of nowhere to do it to a certain extent. I mean, he was good.
Who are you comparing his market value to, though, right? Like, I can't look at Nick Bonito saying
really
he does it like he's in the same breath as like TJ Watt, or I think TJ Watt's actually a great one, but I think like you look at the contract extensions of Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. Those guys are different pass rushers than Nick is. Nick can play more in the passing game, which I think he's got value in. But how do you pay him? Is your grading criteria in terms of how you're going to pay a guy based on what Max Crosby and Myles Garrett are doing, or what is it like for a stand-up edge rusher? That's where I'm confused. I don't know what it's going to be. I would not be surprised if this leads to him eventually being franchise tagged, which is around $28 million. But I think they'll have a chance to work on a deal at that point. I think you're going to see Cortland Sutton extension happen, Zach Allen in season,
certainly,
maybe JFM. But I think the Nick Bonito one's going to be a little more complex to kind of put together. I think it's going to be the hardest one to formulate.
The Broncos do have the opportunities, by the way. If we go look at wide receiver, a lot of other positions, there are still sort of name brand veterans out there that obviously at this point, if they're not signed, will probably have to sign after the draft. But would you have an issue if the Broncos like some other talent, a guy like Amari Cooper, who is still out there that might be a fit? You could still add that Keenan way Allen. Too. Yeah, Keenan Allen is still out there, guys that still can get it done. And I look at a lot of these positions, including even running backs, quite frankly, that there are some guys that I expect the Broncos to take some long looks at, and veterans after the draft that could still come in and immediately play a role.
I don't know if they're going to do that, though. I think that Sean told us.
You're willing to just go young?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, especially when you look at, this year's running back class in free agency. Sean Payton said, we felt like this was a thin class this year. I mean, there were a handful of guys available, but in terms of what they're looking for, he said that, it felt like it was thin. I mean, of course, J.K. Dobbins could still be maybe in the mix here, maybe Nick Chubb. I don't see it happening. I think the Broncos add it back. I don't think it's going to be round one. I think it'll be round two. Travion Henderson's obviously a popular name.
Quinshon available. Yeah,
the Ohio State name there. Blue out of Texas. He's also another guy that they can look at. I just think that they're going to go with probably a more important value-based position. Look, the running back position is important, but Sean, as you and I have seen, look, unless you're Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, a lot of backs don't handle the wear and tear of the position after 3 years. It's tough. And when you look at Javonte, for example, Javonte in year number 2 suffered a freak, brutal injury to his knee, and that has impacted him so far throughout his rookie deal. And now he's going to get a chance to maybe bounce back with the Cowboys, but Javonte hasn't been the same guy since that injury, and that's not his fault.
No, remember, it wasn't just an ACL. 3 of the 4 CLs
multi-ligament
torn in that. And obviously for the Broncos, it would be interesting to see what they do at the draft, because things are fascinating. I am not even opposed, quite frankly, if a guy like Colston Loveland drops. I still think tight end's a need. You look at the teams that were in the Final Four, they weren't using one tight end. They were using 2. We're talking about the Commanders and the Eagles, the Bills.
Who's the second guy for the Eagles? Because really, they didn't even use Goddard as much in the Super Bowl.
No, in the Super Bowl they kind of didn't, but they still mixed.
And they were looking to trade him too.
Yeah, but I still think you need more help there. We know that Ingram's had some injury issue. I think that nowadays you're going to really need 2 tight ends who can be a threat. I don't have a problem with Loveland being the fit too, but obviously this team has to go offense. What we really like, you have a new film room out on Riley Moss. And he's going to be helped too, because the Broncos' big money additions, and one was signing their own player, and DJ Jones, who I had told people at this show was the most important free agent the Broncos had to take care of. Then they had Dre Greenlaw, who's an outstanding coverage linebacker. And then they had Talanoa Hufanga. All 3 of them former San Francisco 49ers. All 3 of them right up the middle. But having that strength up the middle of the defense is still, even in a league where everything's spreading out, it's still the way to make sure that the guys on the outside can function.
Well, that's what hurt them in the late stretch, like the middle of the field, inside linebacker, some breakdowns at safety. That hurt them in those final 5 stretch of games there against the Browns, the Chargers, Bengals, not so much against the Chiefs there, but even against the Buffalo Bills. Well, now you rectified that by going out there and getting a guy like in Talanoa Hufanga, who I think is going to be more underrated in pass coverage than people think. But this is a guy that's going to play well against the run.
Thumper
He's
against
everywhere.
the run.
He's aggressive. He comes up. He's not afraid of contact. And when you pair him up, like that was a fun thing about doing the Dre Greenlaw Hufanga film breakdown. Because when you're watching one, you see the other right next to him. Like they're close. And Hufanga is a guy that can play middle of the field. He can play down in the box. He can play at inside linebacker. He can do a lot of different things. But now it's like you get these guys to play off each other. You mentioned the coverage linebacker aspect about Dre Greenlaw. Well, now it's like when you blitz one of the other, whoever the other inside linebacker is going to be, you have confidence knowing that you have a guy who can play that middle of the field with, you're not going to get carved up essentially the way that you did
by
against
Brock Bowers, by
or,
Travis Kelce. Yeah, exactly.
So I would say Brock Bowers really outside of that one play in that first game didn't do like Pat Surtain locked him down. Like Pat Surtain is probably the only guy who really limited what Brock Bowers was able to do.
Which is amazing because Brock Bowers had virtually no help.
Yeah. Well, I imagine Tyler
Lockett
Lockett will probably sign with them sometime after the draft.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that too. They'll be a much more dangerous team. It's going to be fascinating the next few weeks, of course, of the Broncos as we lead up to the draft. You want to follow Cody for all of the latest, obviously, and check out the latest film room, obviously, right here on this YouTube channel. So give Cody a follow. Thanks for all the coverage, and thanks for having the time to stop in as we continue to do the grand opening of the Mile High Sports.
I'm excited to get a
burger,
burger,
number 38,
some brews here.
Oh yeah, we got the whole. We're all day. Of course, the Rockies have an opener, but tonight in a monumental game for the Denver Nuggets, the Nuggets will take on the Golden State Warriors out in the Bay Area. It's a big one. We'll have a chance to broadcast right from here. The pregame will be brought to you by our friend Zach Mikosh and Ryan Blackburn. Ryan Blackburn will join us to talk about that game next.
When I go to court, these aren't my clients. These are my friends. These are people that I believe in. And they have one shot, just one shot for justice. If they've come to me and we've gotten to trial, their life has been turned upside down in some awful way. And I am their only hope. I need to be their champion, to quote Prince Oberyn from Game of Thrones. They need someone in this trial by combat that can fight for them. I'm all they have. So if I haven't put the time in, if I haven't trained, if I haven't humbly looked in the mirror and thought about ways I can be better, and I don't present my best self in court, then I failed them. And that's what motivates me as a trial lawyer, because when this is over, that client goes home. And if I haven't done my best for him, if I haven't been his champion, then I've failed.
We are back at his grand opening right here for the Mile High Sports Studio at number 38 in Rhino. Come on down. Of course, if you don't want to sit in the cold for the Rockies opening day, that's an option for you. And after the game, we're going to have our grand opening festivities here. But we are broadcasting, obviously, as those who are watching carefully realized we had been for a little while. But here we are. The cat's out of the bag. Looking forward to it. We're looking forward to having an opportunity here from Ryan Blackburn, our lead Nuggets writer and the host of the terrific Pickaxe and Roll podcast.
Hello.
Tonight, you're going to host the pregame live here with Zach Mikosh from Denver Stiffs. Looking forward to that. I've had a chance to host these pregames right here at 38 with both of you. So I'm looking forward to actually being able to just listen to it.
It'll be cool to be in the booth for it, too.
Yeah,
it's just nice.
Yeah, we're just right here.
Next new home here. It's very exciting. This is it's obviously been great digs here for a little bit. We've been off record, been doing it here for a little. But nice to be able to finally unveil.
Yes, to get it going, and we're excited. And what a night! Obviously, you have opening day for baseball for the Rockies at home. We'll see how that one turns out. Yes, they're terrible, but the point is that it's still opening day. It's fun to have them back, and it's fun to sort of officially welcome spring back to Denver, even if it doesn't feel like it today. But tonight, Nuggets, Warriors. The Warriors played last night against the Lakers, Lakers had a bricklaying convention last night. They could not shoot. The Dubs knocked them off.
Hey, Austin Reeves could. It was a fun near comeback for them, but you never want to see the Lakers come back.
No, and they didn't, which means the Nuggets slid ahead of them in the standings again by being idle. They moved up by a half a game. The Nuggets back in third, but this is a huge game for a lot of reasons. The entire Western Conference has tightened up. The Nuggets, as it stands, are only 2 games out of the Timberwolves, and they're in 7th play-in position.
You could even go further than that to the Clippers, man. They're
it's 20. It's 2.5 games. That's 8th.
Like they're 2 losses ahead, I believe, and it's just brutal.
The Nuggets don't have the tiebreaker with the Lakers head-to-head. That the Lakers won the season series. This game is interesting because it's not only a potential statement game. If you want to stay ahead of the Lakers, you want to win. But looking at it at the same time, I'm like, if things stood as it was yesterday, before the Lakers and Warriors played, the Nuggets as the 4 seed would play the Lakers as the 5 seed in the first round. I don't hate that matchup for Denver because of the size difference for Nikola Jokic. We certainly saw the Lakers played them, and we'll have to find out how this all shakes out. But for the Nuggets, who have obviously had a couple of really weird games, shorthanded Nikola Jokic basically has an all-time great performance, 61 points, the most ever in a triple-double, but unfortunately in a loss. Then everybody sits. You basically get a bunch of guys wearing the Nuggets uniforms, and they end up hanging with the Timberwolves for the most part.
Right.
And in the following game, they lose to the Spurs. But now the Nuggets have been under 500 in the last month. Not by much, but they are under 500. They have lost 2 in a row. Feels like they need to get a little mojo back. Is that as simple as just being healthy and rested?
No, it's not just as simple as that. I think
I was afraid you were going to say that.
There are some different things that they have to do, like starting to play some defense. And I thought, honestly, that the T-Wolves game was a good start there.
Yeah.
It showed that when you – like they didn't have Jamal Murray. They didn't have Michael Porter. Instead, they leaned in a little bit to more of a defensive group with Jalen Pickett. You had Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon out there, and then Jokic, who Jokic is going to struggle on the defensive end in some of these matchups, but that's because he's putting up 60-point triple doubles on the other side.
You'll live with
it's going to be
yeah.
It's going to be okay.
It's like Shohei Ohtani. He goes like 4 for 5 with 3 home runs, but he struck out that other one.
Man, it's good. It's going to be okay. Like
right.
everybody will be fine.
Yeah.
But no, it's fascinating to, I think about where the Nuggets are with 5 games left to go. Yes, there are some standings things that they have that are concerning. I think that they're going to be fine. I think that they will win tonight. The Warriors played last night.
Right.
We'll talk about that in a bit, but I think that over the course of these next 5, they're going to get themselves back healthy. Julian Strother's back in the rotation by the looks of it tonight. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle themselves in this situation, because I just think that there's a lot of pressure heading into things because everybody knows that they haven't played that great. Like it's not just because they're playing tougher competition. It's because they're not playing as well as they were before, especially on the defensive end.
Okay, we're 5 games left, 77 games into the season.
Yeah,
defense has been, quite frankly, very poor, especially given the year prior. The drop off has been immense, with more or less the same guys. Obviously, KCP leaving is a difference maker, but realistically, I think I've talked about this. They're not going to revert to last year's form in the final 5 games of the season. They're just not really that team. So what can they do to be better? Jamal Murray talked about it last week and said specifically some of it is literally just communicating out on the court with one another so everyone knows where everyone is.
Yeah.
I know that sounds basic and you're probably thinking they're not doing that already, but some of that going back to basics is a little bit of what the Nuggets might have to do. But you want to have everybody healthy, because now, at least in the last couple of games, with who knows who is going to be in the lineup, you really can't get on the same page. You're going to beat any team when they're having to mix and match like that. Getting this team healthy, getting Strother back obviously adds to the scoring, but at least getting healthy gives you the chance to believe they can all get on the same frame.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to at least try to put yourself into that good position to be successful. What I will say is that no more than right now have the playoffs and regular season been as disparate as they've ever been. And what the Nuggets have shown in the regular season from an effort standpoint, from a focus standpoint, from an exactness standpoint, I think they will change that at least a little bit going forward. Jeff Morton on there. What does he say? Tell Ryan I think that South Carolina shirt is okay with me. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. It is always
still my pick for the women's tournament.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I'm not going against Don Staley.
Pretty good choice.
Paige Beckers is playing lights out. We know about Lauren Betts, former Colorado product out at UCLA. But look, I'm of the old school. You want to beat the champ, you got to beat the champs.
Oh yeah.
And Don Staley rules the roost right now in South Carolina.
They've been fantastic. But back to the Nuggets. I think the most important thing for people to remember is that the playoffs, they're a problem-solving game. It's one of those things where you get into a situation, you'll have certain elements at your disposal, whether it's the offense that you're running, the defense that you're running, the matchups that you have to face, injuries that pop up, situations like how physical is the game going to be allowed to be? Are the Nuggets good with that? Are they bad with that? And then who's playing well at any particular time? And if you're Denver, you don't have to have that much beyond Jokic and Murray. We've talked about that before from an offensive perspective. And so most of their engagement is likely going to be on the defensive end in general, because Jokic and Murray are going to be very focused on the offensive side of the floor.
Right.
It's going to be like Aaron Gordon, for as great as he's been on the offensive end this year, going to be more focused on the defensive end of the playoffs. Michael Porter, I think, same thing. Christian Brown, same thing. Those guys have had moments offensively, and I think they're going to still have some moments offensively when the team asks for it, but it's going to be fascinating. The closer that we get to the playoffs, the more confident in ways I feel about this team, because they do have veterans. They do have guys that have been here before, and you remind yourself that a lot of these other teams, whether it's the Lakers or the Warriors or any other teams that they're basically going to face, have a lot of continuity questions. They've got a lot of questions to answer about just how well they will perform
Lakers
in certain
are 6
situations.
and 9 in their last 15.
And yet I'm still, if I'm a Nuggets fan, I'm still very wary of who they are.
You should be.
Because, like, let's be honest.
Two of the best 10 players
Luka
in
Doncic
the sport.
and LeBron James get into a playoff series, it's going to be hard to best them with any duo. Now, Denver's got a really good chance in Jokic and Murray. And so if that is the 4-5 matchup or whatever they face in the playoffs, maybe we'll see what happens.
But that means that the Michael Porter Jr.'s, the Christian Browns, the Aaron Gordons of the world, where they have to step up. Gordon's play in particular has just been sublime. Playing some of the best basketball of his life. Probably like to see him hit the boards a little bit harder, but I know there's been some injury issues. That's the next issue I think that the Nuggets have to look at. They have had some challenges getting beat on the offensive glass. You look at the offensive rebounding numbers. A lot of teams are getting second chance points. The Nuggets are not. In the Minnesota game, it led to Minnesota getting 25 more field goal attempts in a game that was close. Double overtime game, you allowed 25 more shots. I mean, you neutralize that by a bit. This game never even goes to OT. That's something that feels like, even if the defense can't be totally fixed, feels like you can still focus on maybe hitting the offensive glass a little harder.
Yeah, and part of that disparity was, of course, the fact that Denver had 40-plus free throws in that game, including Nikola having 24 by himself.
By the way, great job on Nikola Jokic. Again, the guy just see. I've said this years ago. He is like Neo in the Matrix. He sees how it works. For years, we've been talking about, wow, Nikola Jokic doesn't get the free throws. Now he does.
Yeah.
Now he knows how to do it. Now he's figured it out, and that's obviously a good sign too.
Of course, especially when the playoffs come around and he's going to have to
foul out Rudy Gobert again.
He's going to have to try to do some things. He's going to have to try to do some shenanigans in order to get past it. So it'll be interesting to see.
He's not above the occasional shenanigan.
Oh yeah, no, and we know, we love it. We definitely appreciate it for sure. But no, I think on the defensive rebounding front, when you miss. Where you miss Michael Porter on the defensive end is the defensive rebounding, because he's not going to really protect the rim that well. He's not going to really protect the perimeter that well. He's going to grab defensive rebounds. And it's a helpful aspect of Denver's defense that they don't really expect when he's.
Yeah,
when
I
he's
think people
that.
think about Aaron Gordon. They're maybe a little surprised to see that this year in rebounding, not only is Porter Jr. second on the team in rebounds at the 7 per, but it drops to Gordon, and some of that's been minutes played, but Gordon's not even averaging 5.
Yeah, I think isn't Christian Brown at a
Christian
higher place
Brown
than
is
him?
third. In fact, here are your rebounders in average. Nikola Jokic at a ridiculous 12.8. Porter Jr. at 7.0. Christian Brown 5.2. DeAndre Jordan at 5.1 when he's played. But I mean that counts per game.
Yeah.
So I mean that's what he's getting.
When
even
he's
though
out
he
there,
doesn't
he's a
even play
machine.
that often. Then Russell Westbrook at 5.1, and then Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray at 3.8. But that feels like, even though I know that Gordon's playing with a couple of injuries, and that's obviously concerning, but I agree with you. If we've said the same thing, if this team is healthy, even as weird as this season's been, I still look at them and say they have a 5-ish% chance of winning the championship.
Yeah.
They could also get blasted in the first round. But if they are 100% healthy, I still like their chances against anybody, because they do have experienced guys. And in the end, you have the best. I don't care if he's going to win the MVP or not. And then don't take it from me, take it from Detroit's television announcer a couple nights ago, when SGA had a tough game shooting in Detroit, said that SGA may win MVP, but everybody knows the Joker's the best player in the world.
It's wild that, like, he clearly has the respect of everybody around the league. I think everybody understands the deal.
Yeah. That was the Pistons announcer in a Pistons Thunder game.
Right.
Had nothing to do with the Nuggets. And even their announcers
they're not happy when SGA gets to the free throw line. I'll say that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opposing fan bases that are not super steezed about that. No, I think basically if you're Denver, the 5% chance I think is right. They are both the team that beat OKC twice this year, and the team that lost to Washington twice this year. They are both of those teams. And saying that they're anything else would be, I think, disingenuous because they can, I think, be very serious, but they also can be very unserious in some of these matchups. So the playoffs are for serious teams. The playoffs are for teams that are able to lock in, are able to do exactly what they're supposed to do, are trying to do the detail work. And the most important thing that the Nuggets can do is really follow suit with that, surrounding their superstars and augmenting them in the ways that they can on the defensive end especially.
Well, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about the depth. We know that Peyton Watson continues to improve. There are things he can get better at, of course, but we see him improve offensively. We're seeing him, I think, the blocks are good. I think he can be better as a defensive player as opposed to kind of, you can get blocks without being a consistent defensive performer. I think there's some ability there, but I like the improvement that Peyton Watson's made this year.
The rebounding you can also note with that.
Yes, but it has been in the last month the improvement of Jalen Pickett, who had his first ever triple-double against the Spurs. And we know in Pickett's case, we talked about this, his last year at Penn State, he led the team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. This is a guy that can play an all-around game. The question is his athleticism top-tier NBA level? The answer is probably no. But as a guy that's coming off the bench, as the game starts to slow down for him, we've seen Jalen Pickett become more and more effective in a lot of ways. Might the Nuggets have found their long-term backup point guard?
It's not a bad guess. I think at this point, what he's shown, and when you get a triple-double, like, I don't care. Like,
you're a point guard when you're getting 10 boards.
Yeah.
I'm impressed at what you're being able of your ball skills.
It was also the way that he did it. It was like Russell Westbrook handled the ball a lot in that game. Like there's no doubt about it. He was absorbing a lot of the possessions. 25 shots. For Pickett to get 10 assists in that
not
context,
the primary ball handler.
Yeah, it was still very impressive the way that he was able to handle that. And I thought that he delivered on several occasions, really good passes, really good offense, setting his teammates up for success. And I can imagine, hey, when Jokic is out there, or when Michael Porter or Jamal Murray are out there, or guys of that nature that can shoot a little bit better than the Hunter Tysons of the world, the Vlatko Čančars of the world. Although shout out Vlatko Čančar, he hit some big shots.
Yeah.
I do think that like Denver can be set up for success with Jalen Pickett. They're going to need to help him in that case. But I do think, once you put that on film, once you show that you can do those things, it at least opens up the door for you to be an option for Denver to explore. I don't think that, we'll see what happens with Russell Westbrook in the offseason. I don't know what it's going to look like. He may opt into his player option. He may opt out of it. But if he does opt in, Denver will probably explore the idea of Russell Westbrook coming back and seeing what he can do. He has been overall a net positive for this team.
I think so.
So, but there's also the future of the organization, and if Jalen Pickett has earned just as large of a spot, then maybe you go with the younger guy.
Yeah, for this last run of the 5 games, when we look at this, granted, there's obviously some interesting matchups. Tonight's matchup is huge. It's a statement game. It's a standings game. Then they go to a little bit of a softer part, and then it finishes with Houston and Memphis. Obviously, Houston's having a great year as well. But I kind of look at this top of this Western Conference, and this is why I still feel bullish on the Nuggets, because there is value. And I guess I would look, we just talked with Cody Rourke not too long ago about the Broncos in the game against the Bills, talked about a drop that Cortland Sutton had in the Buffalo game. Troy Franklin had a touchdown catch that was dropped. Devon Vele had 3 drops. In most every sport, and it certainly is in the NBA, playoff experience matters because it's a different thing. A long time ago, I talked with players about this for a story on ESPN years and years and years ago, and kind of came to a conclusion with a lot of players that they kind of felt like every playoff series you played in, you learned as much about who you are as a player and the league as you did in about half a regular season. It is because the game is that compressed and you're not taking on any softies. Every minute is earned. Every minute is hard. And the Nuggets have been through that ringer with their critical core. Guys like the Thunder, guys like the Rockets, they have not yet. And even though they're having a phenomenal regular season, when those benches shorten, their depth doesn't help them as much as it does in the regular season. And they still have to be able to show that they can do it. So I think that's really interesting.
We'll see how those younger teams handle themselves. Memphis is another team that has really slid in recent weeks. They fired their coach, and they're still a generally young team around. I don't even think that they have a guy over 30 on their team. Memphis does, which is kind of wild to think about. OKC is very similar. They have, I think, a guy over. I think Isaiah Hartenstein is 30 by this point, but he may not be. But they've got other guys that you can trust. I think Alex Caruso is a guy like that. And Shea performed admirably in the playoffs last year as well. So it's not going to be something where I think he's actually in a really
well.
tough spot,
I highly doubt he's going to be a bad playoff performer.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how they handle themselves. I'm getting word that Hartenstein is only 26. Holy cow!
A couple of those guys when the Nuggets missed here and there. Whoops!
The
happens.
Thunder are a cheat code, man. I hate that Denver is in their same division because
who cares? Divisions don't matter anymore.
Because they play them
more
four
often.
times, and division tiebreakers matter, and like they're always going to be in a situation where they have to face the Thunder every single time. But no, it's gonna be frustrating. And so, if you're Denver, you have to work through it. You have to use your veteran experience. You have to use your opportunity to be there that you've had in order to be the best version of yourselves that you can. My question to you would be, okay, Jokic has performed admirably in the playoffs. We know who Gordon is. We know who I think Murray is by now when he's healthy. Who do you think Russell Westbrook's going to be in the playoffs? Who do you think Michael Porter is going to be in the playoffs this year?
Porter Jr. really to me is the X factor because I think we still know who Russell Westbrook is. He's going to play like Russell Westbrook. We know the shooting is going to be inefficient, but he's going to play like Russell Westbrook. Michael Porter Jr. don't really know. And we've talked about this. He's in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Because is he the third option? Is he the fourth option? Is he even the fifth option as Christian Brown has come along? I don't know. And it's without really knowing, the Nuggets have Porter Jr. in a strange place. They definitely want him to score, but they don't want him to hold on to the ball that long. They don't want to. He's not the guy you want handling the ball.
Yeah.
So that means it more or less reduces you to cuts or catch and shoot, right? Which is a lot of what fans kind of pile on him for. You need him to rebound, but of course you don't want him really out there really getting ready for the rebound most of the time. You'd like him to maybe catch and shoot for three.
Yeah.
So we know he's not a great defensive player. That in many ways, as much as I do like Porter Jr., I don't know what his fit really is with the Denver Nuggets because I don't know. I can tell you what the Nuggets want Jamal Murray to do and Nikola Jokic to do. Everyone can tell you that. But we can tell you what Christian Brown his job is.
Sure.
And we can tell you what Aaron Gordon's job is. Aaron Gordon is the old Bruce Lee, you know, if there's water, pour it into a cup, it turns into a cup. If you pour it into a vase, it becomes a vase. That's what Aaron Gordon's supposed to be. We need more scoring, go get it. We need more boards, go get it. We need you to lock down this guy, go get it. We know that. He's a matchup guy. I don't know what Michael Porter Jr.'s job is except chip in where you can. And so to me, he's the absolute X factor. When they won the championship, the series against the Lakers, he was tremendous.
He was their second best player.
Yes.
No doubt.
And by the time you got to the finals, he was almost an afterthought. And I don't know. This is a fascinating run for Michael Porter Jr. with the Nuggets to see what they need up. But I do know that if he's not at least getting these averages of 8, he's averaging 18 points a game. If he's not doing the 18 points a game and he's second on the team in rebounds at 7 per, the Nuggets don't win a lot. So he's in a weird spot. That's sort of the one guy among your starting five that's been on this team for a while. Like, there's never you can go all season long and you say that was an Aaron Gordon game. That was a Christian Brown game. That was even a Russell Westbrook game. Haven't seen a Michael Porter Jr. game, and I don't know that I will because it's not how the Nuggets operate.
Yeah, you have. You're forgetting the 3 straight 30-point games.
Okay, that's fair.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt there.
What
Those
happened
were kind
there?
Of forgettable though.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways because they were right before the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't against the strongest competition. I think Murray was out in at least a couple of them, and you set the table for a guy when he's playing really well. And that generally goes well. The problem is that when teams run the scouting report on Denver, what they're going to be looking for, the first and second page, the first page is all Jokic.
Yeah.
The first and second page is Jokic Murray actions.
Right.
The third page is how you guard Murray when Jokic is not on the floor. And then Porter, what they basically will do is say, don't let him shoot threes. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's what the schedule. That's what the thing is.
The offense calls for him to be out there to catch and shoot.
Yeah,
and that's what's kind of funny because I think fans have looked at it. It's like, well, all he does is catch and shoot. Well, that's kind of what the Nuggets want him to do.
Yeah, they would love that, but you have to generate open shots in order to do so. And the one thing about when Denver's full starting lineup is out there, they can mostly generate good shots for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Christian will get open shots.
That's
Aaron
why
will get open
the
shots.
new way to stop Nikola Jokic, at least the effort of what teams tried to do, we saw the Lakers try it, and they kind of showed their hand.
Yeah.
Is the idea, and Minnesota did it as well a little bit, is to live with the fact that, okay, you know what, if Jokic goes for 40 plus on us, we can live with that because all the other guys probably haven't gotten going. It feels right now as if the strategy is let Jokic get his. Just make sure that he can't get everyone else cooking and get a rhythm, which is what he does so well.
It's always that's the LeBron James, it's the Magic Johnson, it's the it's everybody.
You can live
It's
with his
the Nikola Jokic. Yeah, like everybody knows that once Jokic gets the machine whirring for the Nuggets offense.
I mean, the Timberwolves look at it and they're like, he scored 61. We still beat him.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
that is a pretty strong declaration of how teams should be doing this.
Yeah. Now the bright side is not a lot of teams can do that. And let's wrap this up with the Warriors tonight. Warriors don't have a lot of size, and Jokic has had a tremendous amount of success with them. That may be one of the big hopes coming into it too, because even though there are some other big guys at the top of the Western Conference, they're slighter, they're smaller, and Jokic uses his body to kind of bang down low. But the Warriors just tonight, as the Nuggets get healthier, the Nuggets are rested, the Warriors on the second night of back-to-back. What do you want to see by the time you get to halftime and you look at what the Nuggets played and you're saying, man, I liked that half. I feel good about it. What did it look like?
Well, I'm checking the injury report right now. The Warriors still have not submitted their injury report from last night. How convenient of them. Denver is going to get back some guys. It looks like Julian Strother is going to play. That'll be nice. That'll be good to see. He's been out for over a month with a knee sprain, and you just need everybody.
Need him. Yep,
you need everybody. You need the space.
He averages almost 10 points a game. You need
that's wild to think about, by the way. But Denver needs everybody to be successful. And when they approach this Warriors matchup, let's assume that everybody plays for the Warriors. The lineup that they have been starting is not the one that I think they will start against the Nuggets.
But the lineup they've been starting has won now 15 straight games.
It's been a whole heck of a lot of games.
Yeah.
I think so. It's Steph, it's Moses Moody, it is Brandon Bajimski, it is Jimmy Butler, and it's Draymond Green. Like those guys are all very good. And when you're able to play small ball on a consistent basis, that's how it works. You can absolutely make it happen. But I think that when you're putting Draymond as the small ball five, it's one thing to do it against last night when they were going up against like Rui Hachimura and Jackson Hayes.
Right.
They're doing against Jokic now. So I think Quentin Post or Kevon Looney or one of those guys is going to start for them and try to take some of the burden off of Draymond later in this season. And they're going to try to win. Like they'll do what they can. But Denver has had Golden State's number over the course of these last few years. They are 9-0 in their last 9 games. They have been tremendous. They've had walk-off wins. They've had just dominant.
I mean, the most unexpected win of the year, obviously, was in Golden State.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's and Golden State. Look, Golden State has they're not taking this one lightly. They need this win and they need it bad.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's back to back. The Nuggets have been sitting in San Francisco longer than the Warriors have been after them playing in LA last night. So an opportunity here for the Nuggets to get it done. Come on down to number 38. It is opening day for the Colorado Rockies, but it's also opening day for the brand new Mile High Sports Studio. That's right. We're here permanently at number 38. We have 3 beers and a new seltzer on tap. Mile High Sports collaborations with some of the best craft breweries in Colorado. So excited to have you down and see it. And then tonight, of course, not only will we welcome to the grand opening, but Ryan Blackburn will be sitting right there. Zach Meekosher will place me right here, giving you the Nuggets pregame live before the Nuggets and the Dubs. That game tips off at 8 or probably a little bit after that, given the way the NBA works. But they'll take
is
you.
Is it an ESPN game? It's probably going to be at 8:15.
But they'll take you right up to the tip. So make sure you get some of the best NBA coverage you can get from Ryan and Zach with that live pregame show while you're enjoying a couple of the new beverages down here. And check out the new studio. We're looking forward to seeing you. It's a celebration for baseball, celebration for basketball, celebration for us. It's a great day. We're excited to have it. And who cares if it snows a little bit? Because right here, we're inside. We'll be back for more all afternoon. We'll let you enjoy the baseball. Thanks to Danny Baylor for putting this all together. Nate Lundy joined us. Ryan Spilborghs joined us earlier. Cody Rourke joined us talking about the Broncos, and Ryan Blackburn right here. We'll bring you more as the day goes along as well. Murderers Row all day here at Mile High Sports as we open the brand new Mile High Sports studio. So for everybody here at Mile High Sports, we're delighted to have you at Mile High Sports today, but keep it right here and come on down and join us in person on Mile High Sports. No, that they're saying that we need